Today, a significant development unfolds in the Middle East. A ceasefire agreement has been reached, leading to the anticipated return of hostages to their families. While this agreement marks a hopeful moment for many, it also raises questions about the broader implications for peace and stability in the region. The incoming president highlighted the ceasefire as a major milestone, expressing optimism about its potential impact. His statement emphasized a commitment to ensuring Gaza does not become a haven for terrorism and called for a continuation of efforts to expand the Abraham Accords.
The incoming president just posted on his Truth Social. This epic ceasefire agreement could only have happened as a result of our historic victory in November, as it signaled to the entire world that my administration would seek peace and negotiate deals to ensure the safety of all Americans and our allies. I am thrilled American and Israeli hostages will be returning home to be reunited with their families and loved ones. With this deal in place, my national security team, through the efforts of Special Envoy to the Middle East, Steve Witkoff, will continue to work closely with Israel and our allies to make sure Gaza never, all caps, again becomes a terrorist safe haven. We will continue promoting, again, all caps, peace through strength throughout the region as we build upon the momentum of this ceasefire to further expand the historic Abraham Accords. This is only the beginning of great things to come in America and indeed the world.
Senator Marco Rubio, a nominee for Secretary of State, addressed the necessity of securing the release of all hostages as part of any lasting ceasefire. His remarks underscored the importance of this issue in ongoing diplomatic efforts.
Do you agree that a permanent ceasefire in Gaza absolutely must include the release of those hostages?
Well, it must include it because if it doesn't, there won't be a ceasefire for long. That is the linchpin of what's happened now. Hamas has been severely degraded, but these people, that include a number of American citizens, need to be home as soon as possible, and that will remain a priority in any engagement that we're involved in with regards to not just a ceasefire, but some permanent peace process moving forward.
Former U.S. Ambassador to Israel David Friedman shared his perspective on the emotional and geopolitical weight of this moment, emphasizing the importance of hostages reuniting with their families and the broader goals of ensuring regional stability.
Yeah, and I think that's a very important point because some people, I think, are misinterpreting this as some kind of a capitulation to Hamas or an agreement that Hamas can continue to rule the Gaza Strip. Well, President Trump, first of all, I was hearing his comment just in real time as you put it out. He put the words "never again" in capital letters, that never again will Hamas rule the Gaza Strip, and I think that's important. And you know, when you think about this team that President Trump has assembled, of course, his own words themselves. You heard Mike Waltz earlier today say that the Hamas has to be decapitated. You heard your colleague Pete Hegseth testifying yesterday that he supported the killing of every single member of Hamas. You heard future Secretary Marco Rubio saying that there'll never be a ceasefire if Hamas stays in power. You've got Brian Mast, who's the incoming leader of the House Foreign Affairs Committee. When he was asked, where do you stand on Hamas, he said, I stand on their throats. So there is no ambiguity here that there's no future for Hamas. And frankly, I think it's the recognition by Hamas that their days are numbered, you know, that there is no future for them, that caused them to make a deal today that frankly, people had thought they agreed to 7 months ago, but apparently weren't willing to do. So I think this is all because of their recognition that with the incoming administration, they have no future.
In Gaza, some are celebrating the ceasefire as a moment of success. However, analysts like Ambassador Friedman caution against viewing this as a long-term resolution, noting that the future governance of Gaza remains a critical question.
You know, I'm not sure, but again, you know, their only source of information is what Hamas tells them.
Right.
So, maybe they're being told by Hamas because, again, this is going to end up being a defeat for Hamas. It may take 6 weeks. It may take another year, before this is all cleaned up. But this will end up in a defeat for Hamas. Maybe the Hamas is spinning this to their people that somehow, they're going to remain in power, and maybe that's their narrative. But it's not. It's going to be short-lived.
My colleague Charles Payne is here with a question for you, Ambassador.
Ambassador, thank you very much.
Amid these developments, discussions have emerged about the long-term prospects for governance in Gaza. Charles Payne posed a critical question about the potential for leadership that prioritizes the well-being of its people over continued conflict.
The Biden administration initially gave so many mixed signals on this that in many ways, I felt, at least as an outside observer, it emboldened Hamas. We know President Trump will not do that. Will there be a way, Sun Tzu's talks about an avenue for your adversaries to retreat. What kind of efforts are being made, if you can talk about it, to at least find sensible people in Gaza that understand that the path they're on now means total destruction, and that if they do want to rise up, because there has to be a lot of dissatisfied people there, they will get some help from Israel and perhaps the United States so that they can take control of their nation, and it's not Hamas who's once again leading them down this path of destruction where they put hospitals, babies, and everything else in the line of danger.
Well, Charles, it begins with the eradication of Hamas. As long as Hamas is there, it's absolutely impossible for anybody to rise up who will put the interests of his people and his children ahead of the grievances of the past, ahead of the hatred for Israel. So as long as Hamas is there, it's virtually impossible. But the key point here, as you talked about the difference between Biden and Trump, the key word is daylight. There was massive daylight between Biden and Israel over the last 15 months. And every time Hamas saw that daylight, it empowered them and made them think that they can hang in there, that they could potentially emerge victorious and in control. The loss of life was meaningless to them. That's part of their battle strategy, so they didn't care about that. Trump comes in and the daylight's completely shut, right? It's shut by his words. It's shut by the words of his team, and that's the first step. The coalition between Israel, the rock solid, hand in hand, no daylight relationship between Israel and America is what gets this started. At least the eradication of Hamas, but it's not. There's no quick fix, Charles. I wish there was. You got to get rid of these terrorists before the decent people can emerge.
The ceasefire agreement represents a complex and pivotal moment in the Middle East. While it offers a glimmer of hope, the path forward remains uncertain and heavily reliant on sustained diplomatic and humanitarian efforts. We will continue to monitor this developing story and provide updates as they unfold.